Every time there would be a policy, should you wear masks? Shouldn't you wear masks? We started with that. And then, the policy would change. WHO would say
because
something.
the science was changing. The science was discovering
and
stuff.
People are just learning and changing policy
and
based on that.
whether or not the virus could be spread by our farts.
Hello, namaste, and a very warm welcome to our show, In Our Humble Opinion.
Ayo!
Yo! Now, I have together with me today, my dear panelists. On the right is Prof. Gilbert Cheah.
Hello, everyone.
On my left is handsome Chris Henson.
Cipuite.
Okay.
And you are?
That's why lah.
And I am cool Grandma Daisy Irani Sabaya.
Yay!
Yes.
Namaste.
Cipuite.
Okay, so today's show is extremely special, but a tad sad for us. We are going to take a break. A break from the show, a break from you, a break from each other. And that's hard. Our first show was recorded and went on air on April 21st, 2020. We were in lockdown, but we wanted to connect with you, keep you alerted to what was happening around us, all in our humble opinion. And Happy TV was the perfect platform to do that. I remember, I'm sure my colleagues here, my panelists here remember the day well, when we started the show, the lockdown, the circuit breaker, the fear, and we started recording our program on Zoom. Looking back, it's amazing how we went through this journey, this roller coaster ride together, updating you every week about the situation, the anxiety, the anger, the angst that it brought with it. Then it went into a certain quiet, because as a country, we came together. We did a fabulous job of containing the virus and resetting our economy. We were conscious about other issues, topical issues happening around us.
If this virus hadn't come along, we will not learn the lesson.
Sure,
exactly. Right? We need this kick up the butt, right? As Daisy calls it. We all need this.
They've all been bitten. I mean, the government's been bitten. We've been kicked. And now, hey, we want...
Let's just discuss this.
Now, when we have a big event like COVID happening, it forces us to look into our own lives. It gives us a reason to introspect, and this is what we did. We were back in the studio. We were taking life stories, Singapore stories, good, painful, and bringing them to you. And we were putting them in perspective for you. For a moment there, we Singaporeans felt there was hope. We were gaining in confidence. Our economy was going to do well. We were in a celebratory mood that we had this problem resolved. But this notorious virus has once again penetrated our iron wall. Today, we want to talk about how we need to be on alert, the importance of social responsibility as we move to contain the virus and its mutations. And of course, by the end of it, we want to give you a fond farewell. Oh, not farewell, an au revoir till we meet again. So, to talk about the COVID situation, Prof, would you like to share with us your thoughts on the present situation?
Okay. Obviously, it seems kind of interesting that a year ago we started in the midst of COVID, and here we are a year later, and we are still in COVID, in the COVID pandemic, but with new alarm in the country, new worries about the variants and about the increasing number of community cases. Let's put things in perspective, okay? Let's try and think positively about this. What is happening right now? Obviously, India is a big focus and big concern for a lot of people. This really shows why it's so important for every country to fight this virus. Because as long as one country or one big group, is breeding the virus and has not killed it, there will be more variants. This is just how viruses are. The more people who are infected, the more variants there will be, because the virus then is able to replicate and mutate that way. So what's the key? The key is vaccination, because when people are vaccinated, it will help stop the virus from spreading and mutating. Let me explain this, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. It's very important. I want to just make this point. Getting vaccinated does not stop you from getting infected. Okay? Let me repeat that. Getting vaccinated does not stop you from getting infected. What it does is it stops you from getting sick. So you may get infected, but you won't get sick. And why is this important? So let's put it in this, give you an analogy. Let's say, for example, that the virus is turning people to zombies, okay? And when you get bitten by a zombie, you become a zombie. What the vaccine does is it stops you from becoming a zombie. It doesn't stop you from being bitten by another zombie, okay? But when you're bitten, you don't turn into a zombie, okay? I think people can understand that. So that's how vaccines work. It stops you from becoming a zombie, stops you from getting infected. But you will probably be asymptomatic, meaning that you can catch the infection, but you won't have any symptoms because your body has been trained to defeat the virus. Your viral load, the amount of zombie virus in you, will be very small, and you will have a harder time spreading it to other people as well, okay?
But Gilbert, there are, right now with what's happening in India, we know there are people who have taken their vaccinations.
Yes.
Like very much you said, they don't turn totally into zombies, but they are getting a little bit of zombie look.
No, that's fine. They will still have maybe some slight symptoms, fever or whatever, but they will not get seriously ill and be hospitalized.
Yes.
And from a public health standpoint, that is the most important thing. That is really what we want, is to make sure that masses of people don't get sick and get hospitalized.
Correct.
Okay. So some people might still get sick, but it's much better for the whole country and the whole world. So that is the key. Finally, on this point, let me just put this in perspective. This virus will not disappear. In the entire history of humanity, with the thousands of viruses that have plagued us, only one virus has been eradicated, and that's been smallpox. All other viruses that have killed millions of people are still with us. Yeah. But that's okay, because the key is we control them, and that we have vaccines that can overcome them. Yes. So this virus will continue to be with humanity. The key is that if people get vaccinated and they get immunity, it will then become like the flu. It will be something that will be with us, but it will not make a lot of people sick. So that's the key. So vaccination and keeping safe, which means wearing your mask and keeping safe distancing, are still going to be very, very important.
Absolutely.
And please don't spread hysteria and fear-mongering, because one of the things that we have to realize is that it is impossible for us to close our borders forever. So, if for example, I'll give you an example, okay? You say that, okay, let's ban everyone from India from coming in. How long can you do that for? And besides, the virus has already escaped from India. It's already gone somewhere else. So it will come in from some other source. So you can say, okay, no person who's ever traveled through India in the past 2 weeks is allowed to come in. But what if someone had left India and gone to the United States? And then from the United States comes over here. They would still be carrying the virus. So you cannot stop it that way, you see?
Yes.
And as a small country, we cannot close our borders permanently.
But sorry,
Chris.
First Chris, and then I'll give you some thoughts about this.
There are two things.
Yes.
Two things I like to talk about. Number one is this word vaccination or vaccine has struck a sore chord with me in recent days, simply because I have been rejected from getting the vaccine.
Yes.
Oh my God, you can become a zombie now.
Exactly. Not that I'm not already one, but yeah, it's a sore point for me, because I feel kind of let down. It is a fact that I have a drug allergy, and the drug that I'm allergic to, and the doctor and doctors, even the ones at the vaccination center, have said to me, yes, they agree that the composition of what makes up the vaccines have nothing to do with the drug I'm allergic to. But because of a MOH ruling that says if you develop breathlessness, there are three things here. If you have swollen lips, swollen face, swollen eyes, and if you have dizziness. If you have two of the three, the rule passed down to the centers by MOH is that people who have two of the three cannot be vaccinated. Despite the fact that the drug I'm allergic to has absolutely no correlation at all to the vaccine. So I feel a bit let down. I know they're doing a job, but I feel let down. I feel like my country has left me behind. And that's how I feel. And, my concern is, Gilbert, especially since you've spoken so much about this, is that even if we have a good majority of people in Singapore that's been vaccinated, you're right, they can still carry the virus. Stupid idiot like me walking around that cannot be vaccinated might just get screwed over by someone who's asymptomatic.
Okay, yeah.
So to me, it's like, what the hey? I might be dying in a freaking hospital bed.
Okay, can I address your concerns?
Yep.
I think that
one of two.
From a public health standpoint, they always try to err on the side of extreme kiasuness.
No, it's caution.
But you have to understand, okay? Yeah. There are also a lot of people who are spreading vaccine misinformation and who are telling the authorities, how can you vaccinate people if they have allergies and all of that, okay? So the fact is that there will be different vaccines that can address different people's allergies. So you may not be able to take the mRNA vaccine, for example, but you might be able to take another one. There will be other therapies. It's simply because there has not been long-term trials. The government is very, very careful. HSA is incredibly careful. Whenever they mandate something, they want to look at all of the clinical data to make sure that, okay, over 10 years, this has been what it is. It's just not possible with a vaccine with a disease that's not even then coming up.
They did tell me, to be fair, they gave me a deferment notice. I inquired what deferment meant. And I was told that like what you just said, should there be improvements? So maybe perhaps the MOH change their minds on how they would relax the rules, etc. Then I could be eligible. That was what they said.
So just hang in there, okay? I think that they have to look at it from a public health standpoint, which is to treat millions of people.
But I just want to bring in two other points, which are, talking about society, about Singapore. Because there were these two things that jumped off the page for me. I felt that it's natural as a country to get slightly complacent when you see things are improving. But now we must realize that the red flags are up. We have to regroup. We have to get stubborn, about our social responsibilities. Not need, again, the government to say, don't, wear your mask. We just have to get responsible. And the second thing is the knee-jerk reaction of making it race-related. Please, guys, don't do this. It's a slippery slope.
Absolutely.
The tragedy that is unfolding in India is monumental. I understand because I'm losing loved ones as we speak.
Oh dear.
We have friends here in Singapore. They are distraught. They are working so hard for their families there who are not getting oxygen. There's no hospitals to get to. But you know what's so fabulous? On one side, what is so heartening is that Singaporeans are getting together and giving generously, like they always have, And of course, on the other side is the social media, the netizens, who have unfortunately started their finger pointing. If these guys had not come, we wouldn't have. Yes. But so please don't go there. Very much like what Gilbert said, you can't contain your borders forever and ever.
Yes.
There have to be other means, other ways, other social responsibilities by which we can be safe and secure.
But that being said, Daisy, and also what Gilbert said, now don't get me the wrong way. I completely agree that as a small country with no hinterland, we need to ensure that our economy still continues to grow, and we need to ensure that the supply chain continues to come into this country.
Absolutely, which is why we can't close the borders.
She wants to send them back, and not just to any place. She wants to send them back to a new country, Blanga.
Yeah, not Blanga by any chance. No,
Blanga. So I'm really amazed that. Please help me. What is Blanga?
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
But I also doubt very much that, given the experience Singapore had during the last circuit breaker, where there was some amount of disruption to the supply chain to Singapore, according to then Minister for National Trade and Industry, I would think that we have, being the kiasu country that we are, we would have already stockpiled sufficient supplies. Hang on. I didn't say I disagree. But should it be required, should Singapore require to go into another circuit breaker, I hope not really, then we have to. So we must also, be prepared and be supportive and united should that were to occur.
No,
Sure.
but as and when
No one's disputing that.
and when these events occur, of course, the policies are always changing. They are working. I mean, you remember we went through that the whole year. Every time there would be a policy, should you wear masks? Shouldn't you wear masks? We started with that. And then, the policy would change. WHO would say
because
something.
the science was changing. The science was
Correct.
discovering
and
stuff.
people are just
Yeah.
learning
Yes.
and
Yes.
changing
Yes.
policy
And
based
whether
on
or
that.
not the virus could be spread by our farts.
Yes. We started on that. Does coronavirus spread through farts? No, and I'm not just telling you this. This is a theory that is being talked about. It is scientific, okay? I mean, it's more scientific than stop eating beans. Okay? Because beans. The farting variety. So, does coronavirus spread through farts? Over to you guys for your humble opinion.
I mean, I seriously hope it doesn't, because then they'll be forcing us to wear masks at both ends, and that'll be really ugly.
Well, you have something there, underwear and pants. So.
You mean diapers, disposable diapers.
Exactly, right?
No, what's the scientific thing? Gilbert, Chris, you want to share?
And it was
That's right.
amazing because it was like we were seeing the virus evolve through fart, through spit, through saliva, the policies that were changing. And guys, talk to me about some of the programs that you remember, the stories that we did.
So many, man. We had, 2 seasons? Almost 53 weeks of...
One whole year is the way I look at it.
grief. And then now we got to say goodbye. Lah. Anyway.
For now.
No, so tell us, Chris, was it some
So politically
stories
correct
which-
you are, Gilbert. Okay, some of the
No,
stories I
Nothing to do
enjoyed.
with
Yeah,
political
yeah.
correctness.
I am always apolitical. Does it look like I give a shit sometimes? I actually don't. Yishun, Crime Central, Singapore.
Yes, I remember that one. Yeah.
Week after week, remember, we seem to be covering stories that happened in Yishun. Then slowly it crept up to Woodlands. Then
Yes.
we got more stuff coming out of Woodlands and Admiralty, remember?
Yes, absolutely.
That's it. People were wondering, how is it? Every time we talk about a crime that happened each week, then the next week, and the following week, and it's all from Yishun. Yeah? Then after that, we had some similarities again. The sex crimes.
Oh,
And
Yes.
the sex crimes. And the sex crimes. Then in between our seasons, we had this abuse, and
Yes.
abuse. I mean, it is such a pattern. And after, doing the show,
Yeah.
we start to see patterns.
yes, and it's quite frightening because, when I came to this program, this panel discussion, at that time I had come with certain perspectives, okay, on maid abuse to race-related issues. I remember very early on in the program, you remember we sang that everyone's a little bit racist
Racist
sometimes from
Yes.
Avenue Q. And then, there were toxic topics about sexual deviancy or race, sex-related, women's rights and more. But, every Thursday, and I really need to tell you both this, that you see, I came into the program every Thursday and I gave my perspective. But what was really wonderful is that when I left with a holistic view because I heard your views, I heard your insights and your humble opinion, or not too humble sometimes, about these issues.
Yes.
And you know what, guys?
Sometimes.
I'm a better person for that.
Wow.
I am. It just makes you realize that it's not only your opinion that
Yes.
counts, and that was
Humble
wonderful.
as it is, yes.
And so my favorite program was, when we got together and we welcomed the year of the ox, and then we did the
Oh,
Lohe,
yeah,
and then we like Huata, and Pupu Kausang.
And Gilbert came dressed as the cushion cover for the Chinese New Year, yes.
So for me, I think that one of the things which I really appreciated about the show was just being able to address misinformation that is floating around out there. There's a lot of that. And also to call out the haters and the quotates of the week.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, not just because of the cathartic nature of it and being able for us people to do that, but I think also just to have this platform where you can really address and challenge the people out there who go unchallenged very often. And I think that whether or not we have this program anymore, I hope that we all and you all out there will continue to speak out against hate mongering, speak out against the people who are making our society worse by their negativity and by their hate. Because I think that's very important, just not to stay silent.
But you know, Gilbert, just like what you are saying in a positive manner to call these people out, I remember talking about all the positive things that we did in the crisis. The launch of the Trace Together app. And of course, again, its own saga of how it launched and the stories about how Singaporeans reconstructed their lives, during these times. They rejuvenated, whether it was baking. You couldn't get vanilla essence anymore. Sharing, and remember the outpouring of help for our migrant workers.
Yes.
Those stories, it's the balance.
Yes.
Just the negative and the positive.
Yes.
And
we did also
that
talk
comes
about
out.
a bit about politics as well due to GE, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was
I
kind
don't
of
remember
fun.
that. What G?
The general elections.
I know now.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and how some people who were supposed to go up then didn't go up. Yeah. And we talked about all that. It was kind of fun.
Yes. And I think that, we didn't shy away from politics. And I think also that it shows that you can talk about politics in Singapore and be very critical about it as we have. And not get arrested. I think that there is this myth out there that you can't talk about politics. In fact, when I told people that I'm in a socio-political talk show,
Correct.
they said, "My God, are you allowed to?" The key really is that you can say something, give your opinion, like I think the government sucks. That's fine. That's your opinion. What you don't want to do is libel someone with falsehoods.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
You see, so don't cross that line because that's not a good thing.
So, but that's why our
to me.
title was "In Our Humble
Opinion. Yes. But
Yo.
So I think that's an important thing.
The funny moments that Chris always, seems to spontaneously generate, which he finds funniest for himself.
Yes, exactly.
And then,
That's when I have an itch that's so deep that I just can't, my finger's not long enough to scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to data, guys, I have to tell you that thorough analysis and clarity, it's Maestro Prof. Gilbert. And it's so wonderful because he rattles it off like, even without looking down.
Look at the height of his forehead, man. What do you
Fabulous.
expect, man? There's data science all in that thing.
And what about our producer, Chris? Happy Chris? Do we want to say it?
Who's usually not behind or in front of the cameras, but Happy Chris always gets nagged by us, especially by you, Grandma.
Yeah.
Where are my talking points, man? Where are my talking
Look,
points?
he had the biggest Herculean task because he was trying to manage
Yeah.
all three of us.
Yeah.
And believe me, that's not easy. So thank you, Happy Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Happy Chris.
Yes.
Sila.
I think that
Say thank
another
you.
thing that thank you, Chris. I think another thing that I'm very glad that we did really was also to stand up for the migrant workers and the domestic workers here.
Yes.
The underrepresented, often ignored, and to highlight the kind of horrific abuse that so many of them have suffered.
Yes.
You don't want to dwell on the negative, but it's very important that while you highlight the positive, you also call out the negative and you challenge it, because we as a society need to do better.
Yes.
The statistics are actually quite horrifying. The number of cases of abuse every year.
Ever so
remember
often-
the policeman's wife
Yes.
who
Yeah.
abused
Yeah.
the maid. I remember that family that abused the mentally.
Yeah.
You're right. It's even painful to think about it.
But ever so
Yeah.
often we do tell people, we keep telling people, if you hear someone screaming in a house,
Yes.
your neighbor's house, we always tell people, please do
Yes.
something about this.
Yes.
But I think those were good messages that we continue to reiterate week after week, like you did, Gilbert. Listen, it's your responsibility
Yes.
too. Don't just pretend and put your head in the sand.
We also went out against voyeurs.
Yes.
The crazy uncle who would stand outside his balcony and take pictures of little bugs.
But I was
Yes.
okay for that.
I know
I was
you
like,
were
go
okay.
for it, uncle.
I still
Take
think
the
it's
pictures.
I still think it's a crazy nut.
I think I remember the guy
Okay,
who was
how about the
collecting
voyeur?
panties.
The voyeur, yeah, okay, the bra and underwear stealers. The voyeur who took pics of the couple making out in the car park.
Yes.
Right? And of course, my favorite, recently, the recent episode we just shot, Linda. In the swimming pool.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, guys. So now it's been wonderful reminiscing, thinking about all those episodes that we went through for one whole year along with you. And we've come round full circle. So I know it's hard, but we've got to end somewhere. So we've got to start with Gilbert. What would you like to say? And then me. And then, of course, Mr. Ditty will give his ditty at the end.
Okay. A very big, heartfelt thank you from me to my fellow panelists here for all your opinions and your insights and the humor and the aggravation sometimes.
Can you hear the aggravator laughing?
Yes, the
the
sheer
aggravator.
cackling delight.
Yeah, the delight. Don't give him that.
I think if you go back and you actually look at the early episodes, you can see the chemistry between us wasn't quite what it is now. And it was like, you have to get used to eating wasabi, It's
Beautifully
just
put.
horrible and pungent and irritating.
But hey,
But later on, as you get used to it, you kind of can tahan a bit more.
no,
Pedas.
pungent. It'll go through your
So,
nose.
I clear sinuses.
appreciate that. Yes, and other things. And my mind's eye has been had conjunctivitis many times through mental images that were put there. Put up a photograph of the Borat mankini and imagine Chris in it. But seriously, I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to voice our opinions and to shed light out there, much more light than heat. I think that's very important. And I would just urge everybody, I think that it's very easy to be cynical and to be caustic out there. What we actually need, the world has enough of those people. What we actually need are people who are encouragers, people who are supporters, and people who spread positivity. So I hope that, going forward, all of you who listen to this show and all of us here will just continue on that track and really to stop and call out those people who are spreading hate and misinformation, and don't believe what you get on WhatsApp, and just because you get it on WhatsApp, especially the older folk out there, of which I'm one, the senior citizens.
Oh my God!
And
Wow.
Exactly.
Just hold that moment, freeze that moment. Gilbert has said something
Please
that he will
loop that.
never say again.
Loop that over and over again.
I'm the grandma. You don't enter into my area. Okay.
Hey, I've talked about it on my own show on Hell Zone. So, finally, I just want to say what I've always said, is that be safe and be kind. Being kind is really important in life. It's more important to be kind than to be right. Sometimes when you feel that you're trying to make a point to somebody, you can do it in a kind way, and that will carry a lot more weight. And when you choose to be kind over being right, you will be right every time. So
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say it's been a great year. We've talked about it. Thank you. But I want to say that ends are not bad things. They just mean that something else is about to begin. And there are many things that don't end anyway. They just begin again in a new way. So in the words of the great Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune, which is being made into a huge film right now,
Dune.
second time, it was made years ago.
Years back.
Yeah.
there is no real ending ever. It's just the place where you stop the story. So, listeners, viewers, this chapter of our story has stopped here, and we shall hopefully start a new chapter again very soon. So long, farewell, or we should say goodbye. Thank you.
And now,
The ditty.
Better get a good close up because it's the last time you'll see it.
except for those on Spotify who thankfully won't.
I will leave that one alone because it is the last time.
Okay, guys. We are all ears.
Okay, this is Chris's farewell ditty.
Yeah.
Ditty, ditty.
No, but it just need a little bit more. Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay.
It's got music. It's got sound effects now.
Okay. I spent a good part of the morning writing and rewriting this because I want it to be as meaningful as possible and as simple as possible. So here it goes. Here's my last ditty for the show. So this is it then. Never thought it would happen. 3 people in slightly less than 53 weeks discussed, argued, and bantered tongue-in-cheek. We read stories and raised issues and almost bust some sinews. Championed graciousness, stomped on stomp, and on voyeurs did we chomp. I am proud to have stood shoulder to shoulder with this hood. One that says namaste every day. I say tsepuete just to get into the fray.
Yes.
The other always ends with be safe and be kind. I will always remember him for that line. No better friends to have at this table of opinion, where outcomes are mostly rather poignant. We kick a lot of shows on radio, I always say. Sad that this team cannot stay. But to the thousands who have watched our seemingly implacable show, who've liked, disliked, shared IO, we hope you've had a great time now that our bell has chimed. Until next time, whenever that may be, stay safe and be happy. Gilbert, me, and Daisy bid goodbye, farewell, arrivederci. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Every small step, like when Saudi Arabia, the women challenged.
Oh my God.
I am going to my safety deposit box to make a withdrawal of my banana hammock.
Coming back to the stiffer penalties, I feel.
No pun intended.
Yeah. I don't like this kind of stiff at all.
You idiot lah. What did Omar
IPL.
say about it?
IPL. No, really.
IPL?
It is, yeah.
IP
The Indian,
hand removal?
The Indian Premier League.
Oh,
I thought
The squad.
sorry.
Thank you.